Unnecessary intro song to totally waste your time. There's a phrase that goes, the banality of evil. I don't know who said it. I don't know where it came from. I don't even need to ask Grok. Because on its own, regardless of who said it, it carries so much punch for me. You know, and it's such a deep statement because it totally goes against the grain of what we want to expect. I'm not saying that evil, a man stabbing a girl in the neck on the train, is boring, you know, or that a man being executed in front of thousands of people and his family is boring, you know. It's just how we get there and how we solve it that suddenly isn't a Hollywood movie, you know. The phrase, the banality of evil, it's not the Hollywood, evil isn't the big Hollywood thriller. It's the low budget indie movie, you know. And quite frankly, those are the movies that ring true to me more, you know. Satan rising above out of the fire, lasers, exciting, dramatic, theatrical, horns, fangs. But no, it's that fat girl with the green hair and the septum ring, or the Mormon kid with his trans boyfriend and grandpa's gun that he got for Christmas 2 years ago, you know, and the teacher that you went to high school with that ended up becoming a teacher, and she was indoctrinated by Marxist philosophies, and she got made fun of a little bit, so she's overcorrected, you know. The banality of evil is it's next door. It's next door. It's me. It's me, okay? It's a step family, two step families coming together, and there's one kid that is abandoned by his mom and he doesn't react as well, you know? A stepbrother that doesn't react well, and then there's two stepbrothers that are fighting with each other. And one day, the older stepbrother, the tough guy, the mean guy, is taunting the other brother, me, by sitting on his hood of his VW Bug. And it's me going to get my gun. My gun. That was given to me by my stepdad. Could have been by my grandpa. Grandpa was a hunter. My 30-30, my lever action 30-30, you know? And sitting in the office and looking out the window at my stepbrother and picking up the phone and dialing 911 and saying, you better come over right now because if my stepbrother comes in the house, I'm going to blow a hole in his face. And meaning it. And I meant it. And the cops were there within a half a minute. I don't know how they got there that fast. But they were there with a half a minute. They didn't even question me because this particular stepbrother had a long history of interactions with the law, you know. It was a credible thing. They knew his name. Everybody knew his name, you know. And I'm not here to talk shit about him, but it's the banality of evil. It's your stepfamily, it's me, it's you, it's everybody having the potential to do something terrible. Most of us don't. Most of us, thank goodness, avoid it our whole lives. You know? But certain people snap. They go over the edge. You know? One person, I think about this and I think, the last recording I made, I told the stories about how sensitive I was to the people trying to brainwash me into believing that white people are bad, and my outbursts and how I dealt with it, going back to the back of the room and taking the popcorn and saying, I'm not going to stand for this. And then with Mr. Wallentyne, I'm not going to, tie these knots in this string so that you can try to teach me a lesson about slavery. I'm not going to let you treat me. I'm a sensitive kid. It's funny. I told you, 17 siblings, right? The first two out of the gate, me and my sister. Same mom, same dad. Dad splits, has an affair basically with my mom's friend. They start a new family. My mom gets married to a sheriff. They pump out 2 kids, my half brothers and sisters. Then he hits the road. But the 4 of us, the core 4, me and my sister, my 2 half siblings. Oh, we are a sensitive bunch. We are a sensitive bunch. My mom cries at the drop of a hat. Any kind of contention, she's crying. I fucking cry at airline commercials. I'm a sensitive fucking dude. I think a lot of my personality is there to compensate for that. But I'm a really sensitive guy. I get really affected by things that people say. I know my little brother's like that. He doesn't want to talk about feelings. Anything but talk about feelings. My sisters, you talk about anything, and they only want to talk about feelings, and it's straight to crying. If you have a half an hour conversation with either of them without getting to tears, it's anyway, we're a sensitive bunch. So a lot of people, programming and manipulating people. Some people, I look at some people and I go, that person went through the same manipulation as I went through. They got the same brainwashing. They got the same programming as I did. And they seem to have reacted differently. I didn't commit any crimes either. I don't even know why I'm using myself as an example, except for the dramatic explosions, like with the teachers trying to teach me about this or that, or me being explosive on the internet, rage posting while they're quiet, not saying anything. And I'm wondering why. Because I'm a dramatic, fucking sensitive guy. Everybody's got to know how I feel. I got to make a recording, put it out public so I can be counted. Some other bullshit. Who knows why? But I kind of sensitive. My brother, he's sensitive. He hates the fucking internet. Doesn't want to go on. Doesn't want to post anything. Sister too. But anyway, I just want to get back to here's the thing, is right now I'm seeing everybody trying to explain and figure out. Look, I don't want to use psychological terms or like post-traumatic stress disorder. I fucking hate shit like that. I want to get away from it because there's an industry built around pretending they can diagnose how human beings are and just fit everybody into a little bucket and blah, blah, blah. And everything is a disorder and everything can be explained by looking it up in a manual. Fuck that. It's not true. We're human beings. We understand each other. Okay? When terrible things happen to us, we want to deny it. We just want to forget about it because who wants to dwell on it? We'd like to forget about it, but it's so hard. If you're pistol whipped, if you're abused, if you're whatever, you can't forget about it. You want to, You do everything you can. And I think in some cases, our brains simply shut down. Like, how can you explain the fact that people will get into a car accident without being killed, but 5 days of their life has disappeared? They wake up in the hospital. It's like our own physiology has a way of helping us block things out, you know? We deal with things different ways. And all of us right now, though, not all, but most of us, sane people, have watched this assassination, and it's just, and the worst part, more troubling than the video itself, which is, I mean, it's a 10, okay? But I'm going to go ahead and say it's, I don't know, 100 times worse to watch people celebrating. It's 100 times worse to watch that. It's more traumatizing, okay? It's more dumbfounding. That's the thing that drains your faith in humanity, that part. Yes, the bullet does too. The assassination, absolutely. But to see people celebrating it. So of course it makes you want to deny what's happening. And what's happening is these young people have been brainwashed, and they live by you. And you know one of them. You know them. Your own sister, your own brother, your own nephew, your niece, your sister who's a teacher or whatever. These people that are laughing and giggling. You know, it's so close. You know them. Every single person listening to this and every single person not listening to this knows somebody who, for some inexplicable reason, is rejoicing in this evil. That's the indie movie, the low budget indie movie, the really scary one because it's next door. It's real. There's no special effects. Those TikTok videos, you couldn't even make those with actors. You know, because actors overdo it. Actors do it in a different way, but some of them, you know, it's just insane that these people are real. The cackling, the dancing, and we know them. Okay? We know them. You know? And it's kind of the banality of evil. What's even more banal than these TikTokers and college students and teachers and firemen and policemen and doing this are that there are others, hundreds of thousands of others, that simply feel the same way but don't film themselves. They don't have a big enough following, so they don't do it. They're just shyer. They're more shy. But they feel the same way. They scroll past and they like it. Or they scroll past it, they secretly like it, but they don't actually heart it because they don't want anybody to find out. Because they still have some fear or something, you know? For every one of those videos, you have to just know that it represents at least 100,000 other people. But we don't want it to be that way. That's shocking. That's shocking. So now I'm seeing all these other people on the internet that, it wasn't that, it wasn't that, it wasn't. Do you believe this shit? Do you believe this shit? They're trying to pin it on this guy, this Mormon guy, and his boyfriend who thinks he's a cat. Are you buying this? And I go, yeah, I am. I am, actually, because I lived it. I lived through all of that stuff. Okay? I've got people in my family I'm surprised aren't in prison. I'm glad. But that easily, I'm repeating the last one, but that easily could have been somebody directly related to me, you know? I don't want to say it could be me because I made it through. I didn't do anything crazy. And most people won't, thank goodness, thank goodness. But what I want to stress here is that the problem is next door. Okay, everybody drawing these things. It's Bibi Netanyahu. It's Satan. It's this. It's that. It's the FBI. It's a SEAL Team 6. It's the ROTC. It's everything. You want to know why people are doing that? I think some of it. You know, even me. I want to explain away those people by saying, oh well, that's a plant. That's a person that has been hired by Israel to distract. It's a white rabbit. It's a this. It's that. Because I know some guys. My friend Peter, his friend George. I sometimes think, ah, shit, they seem like FBI. They seem like feds. They seem like they might be Mossad. I don't know where they actually get their money, but they seem to be. I know where I get my money to do these things. I'm a landlord. But I don't see any source of income for any of these guys. But they're constantly making narratives for this shit, reading books, keeping people driving any terrible thing that happens. If a terrible thing happens, both of these guys, and along with dozens of others on the internet, the theory people, drive the conversation into deep, dark, secret government agents, deep state this, deep state that, Mossad this, FBI that, blah, 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 blah. I'm not saying whether any of that's true, but my point is the reason why those things work. I don't know if these guys are honest or not. And they're really trying to figure out, but let me tell you why these things work. The reason why these things work, the reason why people want to chase this stuff is because it gets them off the hook. If it's Born Identity, you know, if it's a Tom Cruise movie, if it's a thriller where it's some secret guy in a lair, Dr. Evil with his finger on the button, you know, and a machine that controls people's thoughts and their minds and their chips. They're going to implant us with chips, and they're doing this, and they're having a secret meeting, you know, sacrificing children, doing this and that. I'm not saying these things aren't happening, but let me tell you why they're happening. It's because, and why they're believable, and why people prefer them, why they prefer the Hollywood movie to the banality of evil. It's because it gets them off the hook and they don't have to do anything. If it's an unreachable evil, they don't have to do anything. If Israel did this, if the FBI did it, if Mossad did it, if M16 did it, if James Bond did it, if Satan did it, what's his fault? It gets you off the hook. You don't have to talk to your cousin. You don't have to worry about who's teaching your children. You don't have to take your kids out of school. You don't have to homeschool. You don't have to go sniffing around the school. You don't need to go to meetings. You don't need to make life hard for the people that are actually poisoning the minds. The books. You don't even need to go to the library and read the book. You don't need to read the textbook. You don't need to plant a microphone on a kid to hear what his teachers are saying. You can just drop them off, and 8 hours later they'll come back perfectly programmed to be fucking demons. You know? You don't want to believe it. You don't want to believe it. We don't want to believe that we could do that. That our sweet little precious family members, you know, could do that. But they can, and they are, and they're doing it. And we have to do something. And it's not sitting around listening to these other people saying, "Does this look? Governor Cox is in on it. This is. Can you believe? It's nobody's fault but the governments that nobody believes the government. It's nobody's fault but the chosen tribalist Jews that nobody believes the Jews. It's the Jews' fault. It's the church's fault. It's anybody who is lying and trying to create some Hollywood movie, or they're trying to PR shit and send texts and try to pressure campaign people. They have nobody to blame but themselves when everybody thinks they're the ones that are doing it. So I'm not trying to get Israel off the hook. I'm not trying to get the government off the hook. I'm not trying to get the CIA off the hook. I'm not trying to get M16 and the royal family off the hook. None of that. Because Lord knows we can find a lot of evil there. But that doesn't get you off the hook, and it doesn't get me off the hook. We're the ones that are allowing this shit. We're the ones that are allowing these schools. I'm allowing, I drive past the school right down the hill, right? School is compulsory. You can't not go to school. They're going to get that curriculum in your brain one way or another. So even if you homeschool, they're going to come to your house and make sure that you're brainwashing your children appropriately, at least with this degree or that degree. And Lord knows if a private school, everybody's talking about the private schools, you think they haven't been infiltrated by the same garbage? Because my brain's been infiltrated, so is yours. We've been programmed and brainwashed since we were little kids. And it is hard to wake up from that shit. Really hard. Because we don't want to think, oh, I was brainwashed. Because we're smart. Not me. They. Not me, though. But it is you. It is me. I'm brainwashed. There's a school down the street, and kids are going into it, and they have to go into it, and they are being fed. Their brains are being fed right now by some of those teachers, if not all of them. Poison. They're confusing them about their sexuality. They're making them want to chop off their dicks and slice off their tits. I'm sorry to be repetitive, but that's what they're doing. And they're creating Tyler Robinsons and Lance Twiggs and the queer army of Salt Lake City, the armed queer army of Salt Lake City. These things exist. So this denial that you're going through, where you just go, this can't be real, can you believe this? You can't believe this conversation. Why would a kid do that? What do you mean, why would he? That's the whole point. Where we've already reached the point, like it takes only a minute before somebody out there says, it didn't even happen. It didn't even happen. The whole thing's a false flag. Charlie was never shot. It's all special effects, 2 guns, sync shot, satellite, different, how could it be him? I feel bad for Candace Owens. She's lost a friend, and she's got two separate things. She's got her dealings with the chosen tribalists, and they're treating her terribly, and they treated Charlie terribly, and they're treating you and me terribly. They're treating everybody terribly. The chosen tribalists are treating this entire world terribly, gaslighting us, trying to financially destroy us, trying to make us not be able to talk about it, just threatening us at every turn. That's one thing. But that doesn't mean you are off the hook for dealing with your neighbors, dealing with your own school. I don't know what's going to happen, but I know that you and me, and we need to avoid anything that gets us off the hook and pins the blame on someone else, and that includes just going, oh, whew, it was just Tyler and just his just his boyfriend and just the Queer Army of Salt Lake and just this small network. No, 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 no. Thousands and thousands of them are out there. They are sick. They are poisoned. I don't know how to unpoison them. But simply saying it's triple shot, two things, Benjamin Netanyahu, ROTC, this and that. There's a base here and there's an escape route. And, George Zinn, obviously, George Zinn, not. Why would you? Anyway, it goes back to the same place anyway, is my point. My point is if you just go, I said this in the last one, I don't want to be redundant. If you just say it's Bibi Netanyahu or Satan, you can't haul them into court. It doesn't change anything. Nothing changes until you change your schools, your algorithms, your apps, and what happens on the screen. Nothing changes until that happens. Or even more, nothing changes until the banking system changes and the way things are controlled. We need to control things. Each one of us. We need to demand transparency on everything, for sure. This secret government bullshit, nope, we can't have it anymore. Oh, but there's so many reasons to keep things secret. I get it. Yeah. I get why people are compelled to keep things secret, why they want to. I know all the arguments about, well, when you're investigating, you can't let your enemy know what you're doing, blah, 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 blah. So what? Fucking rip the Band-Aid off. There are a lot of fucking crazy people out there. It's been painful to watch people just construct, watching Candace talking about, I'm totally with her frustrations about Israel and the way they've treated her and her friends. I am with her 1,000% on that, right? But when she does a black lady speaking kind of thing, like she knows everything about everything, in her investigations today, watching her go over the timelines and stuff, and just because she doesn't understand something, she thinks it's, look, and again, I kind of don't blame her, because really, these governments and these big organizations that have lied so repeatedly, they really have nobody to blame but themselves, that they get blamed for things that they might not have done. That's the nature of being a liar. If you are a liar and you lie repeatedly, you can't be shocked when people start blaming you and they don't believe you when you say you're innocent. You don't get to do that. Bill Ackman, Seth Dillon, and dozens of other gaslighters just fucking gaslighting us, just like, oh, how are we taking it? Bibi Netanyahu, oh man, that guy, I swear to God, he'll kill everybody. He'll kill everybody. But again, misdirection. Why the fuck am I talking about Bibi? When what we should be doing is going to church, developing a network of real people, our own real people, where we can keep an eye on each other. That's what we lost. That's what we lost. Small town America still has it to a certain degree, but not really. Not really. I mean, Washington City, St. George, Utah, small town, relatively small town. But he got the indoctrination nonetheless. Some teacher, was it college? People can say, "Oh, that's just college." I posted a meme. You saw the video I did. It's just like it starts right now. It's starting when they're very, very young. I had somebody message me earlier. I'm very cautious about who adds me on Facebook now because the threats and stuff. So I vet everybody out. If I get a friend request, I ask them what's going on. Do you come in peace? And 3 of them I blocked because they don't pass my test anymore. You know, I told the last guy, I said, I voted for Donald Trump. I lean heavily conservative now. I used to be a libertarian. I'm unapologetic about it. And I hate this trans shit. And the guy sent me a video of like the meteor that's supposedly headed towards Earth that's too big to be a meteor. It's probably a spaceship. And, I'm like, yeah, I'm not here for that kind of communication. You fucking speak directly. Goodbye, block. But anyway, some other woman, posted me or messaged me and thanked me for speaking the way I speak. She used to live in San Francisco. Now she lives in LA, and she's telling me about how 2020 she got a teacher indoctrinating her kids about trans stuff, and 9-year-old kids saying, I'm trans and I want to kill all Republicans. She's saying, yeah, that's the way, that's the spirit. Now you know who's evil, And I'm going, was that teacher arrested? Is that teacher in prison? No, we filed some complaints, but the school ultimately sided with her. So she's still teaching kids, And I was telling her, I said, we have to do something about that, Now's the time. Now's the time. They have revealed themselves. The sickness, the disease is full blown right now. It's the gnashing, foaming at the mouth stage of rabies. You see it. No, there's no denying it. So we have to do something. It's not like we have a choice. Now, we no longer have the convenience of just being able to look at a conspiracy theory all day. Space, aliens, they're the ones that built the old buildings. The earth is flat. All this other shit. We don't have time for that. That's first world problems, We got to fucking deal with this shit. And so each person needs to design a recipe. I'm trying to say, this is why I want to get back to a church. I did a search. I asked Rock, are there any conservative churches in my area? I didn't find one satisfactory. The Mormons didn't call me back until yesterday. I interviewed the sister missionaries, and I was just like, did you guys talk about Charlie Kirk yesterday? No, it wasn't brought up. And I'm like, okay, I'm glad I didn't go. Because any church that's in denial about what's going on right now ain't helping. And I'm not talking about picking up arms and whatever. I got in a fight on Twitter today. Some guy going, getting mad at Elon Musk because Mike Musk keeps saying we have to fight back. And he's like, quit saying that. And I'm like, I got in this argument with him, and he called me uneducated. And I sent him my video that was bragging about how being educated is the problem. But ultimately, it was just like, a small mind equates fight with kill. I'm not saying we have to kill people. That's what a small mind thinks fighting means killing. A small mind means violence means death. No, fighting means showing up. Fighting means holding the line. Fighting means being able to wrestle a bad guy to the ground, put him in cuffs, and put him in jail. That's violence. Okay? So when people start saying, we don't need violence, well, when you call the cops, you're calling for violence. You're calling violence. Okay? Hell, starting a fire is violence. Knocking down a house is violence. And it's not that you need to go out and just be violent. You've got to be ready. You got to be ready for it. You need to be, now I'm going to sound like Jordan Peterson, but you've got to be capable. You've got to be capable of it. Otherwise, you're going to be rolled over by it. If you're not ready to deal with violence, then violence is going to be used against you. This isn't where I wanted this conversation to go, by the way, because I'm not trying to get everybody in their army boots. It's probably better if we all try to get in shape and eat a little bit better and be alert and know what's going on around us, not be as slovenly as maybe usual. Cut back on the sweets. Start having some reverence for our existence. Start being respectable, worthy of respect. Meaning, people don't want to fuck with you because they know that there might be a problem. I saw this short little video of some guy. They were showing the difference between betas and alphas, but it was some guy in a train station or whatever, and there's a square painted on the floor. Maybe you've seen it. And he's going, "Don't get my box. Don't get my box." And people just walking right through this square, this imaginary boundaries. "Don't get my box. Don't get my box. Please don't get my box. This is my box." Nobody paid attention to him. But then he changed his voice. He's like, "Stay the fuck out of my box. Get out of my box. Away from my box. Don't step in my box." And everybody got around. They moved around. It was just his tone. He just changed his tone. That's all he did. One of these guys that didn't pass my test, tried to make friends with me. And I said, "Do you come in peace? What's going on?" And I said, "The first thing I saw on your website, on your wall, was that you have issue with RFK, and you said he's going to kill millions of people. We're probably not going to get along." And of course, when he sent back his voice messages, it's like, "I respect your opinion." Just a total mushy, zero, and then he went angry, got angry. He denied me my vaccine. I got denied. And I'm like, yeah, exactly. We're not going to be friends. If you're rushing out to get a COVID vaccine in fucking 2025, your mind is fucking garbage. Fucking garbage. If you think RFK is going to kill millions of people because he has saved them from having to inject themselves with undisclosed ingredients. Anyway, just the baseline courage, baseline toughness. The banality of evil is you figuring out, what am I going to do today to keep one more poisoned mind? How am I going to unpoison a poisoned mind and keep another mind from being poisoned? What can I do? I love that people are trying to get everybody fired right now. That's the kind of energy we need. I don't care about our past discussions about cancel culture. They are false equivalents. When you want to cancel somebody that's evil, it's not the same as canceling somebody because they are good. And that's the difference. We get canceled when we express conservative, time-tested, wholesome values. We need to cancel them when they express a desire or actually engage in doing terrible anti-human things. When they support death, when they support abortion, when they support violence against free speech, when they support that stuff, we need to come at them twice as hard. And you can do it in a friendly face, bless your little heart. But I suggest you do it with authority. I suggest you find a way to become authoritative. You know? That means standing up straight. Now I'm getting into Jordan Peterson again. Clean your goddamn room. You know? Oh, sorry I brought him up. Such a sad story to see him fall so hard. Maybe that's the trajectory. Maybe that's what's hard. But I'm just saying, remember, in the story of evil, it's boring. Okay? If you're looking for Satan, if you're looking for smoke and fire and lasers and crumbling ashes, and if you're waiting for the tornado or the red moon and all this other kind of shit, you're waiting too long. I'm doing my part. I'm trying. I'm not good at it. I've sent texts. My family, my lost members of my family have me on permanent ignore. They don't pick up my calls. They don't answer my texts. I'm forceful with my texts. I get it. I probably wouldn't pick them up for me either. I'd probably want to continue in denial. You know, the nurses don't want to admit that they murdered people. That's what I mean. Do you think my sisters are going to grapple with the idea that they put people on remdesivir and on breathing tubes during COVID? And do you think they want to face the numbers that really people didn't die from COVID at home? They only died in the hospitals. They don't want to look at that. That's horrific. I'm not complicit in anybody's death. I can't imagine what it would be like if I were. You know, somebody that hit somebody drunk driving, accidentally shot somebody, injected them, came back and they were dead. You know? The further you go down that road, the harder it is to turn around. I mean, that's the scary part right now. The scary part is that you and I, we know people who are not only in denial about what happened last week. I mean, no, that's what it is. They are in denial. Hopefully. But some of them are actively trying to rationalize their way around it. But both sides, but both sides, but, you know? That's just excuse making, man. It's just excuse making. Anyway, I'm rambling, but let me just leave it again. What you need to do is not that exciting. It really isn't. It's saying something when it needs to be said. Okay? It means, it really does, and it sounds stupid, because I want everybody to log off of Facebook and all these algorithms. I want everybody to get away from as fast as they can. But here's the thing. We can do that. If everybody were to do that, that would solve it. But I don't think that's going to happen. Do you? No, because people want to see their pictures and they want to see their cat videos and they want to see the other things and all these other fun little things and they play their little games. And if you're playing a little game, then you switch over and there's Facebook or there's Instagram or there's this, and then you can be subjected to that, you know, depravity and algorithm designed to make you feel terrible, you know, and you scroll through. But when you do scroll through and you see something that's wrong, yeah, it's easy to just skip over it. I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to deal with my neighbor yelling. I don't want to deal with one of these lefty fucking screeching retards. Who does? Who wants to deal with one of these septum people screeching at them, shouting their abortions in your face? Nobody wants to do that. We got other things to do. But let me tell you, if we don't do it, who's going to do it? Me by myself? No, I tell acting like I'm a hero, but like I'm telling you, it's just so often you get people that are they tell you, hey, thanks for doing what you're doing. I think it's really great. I go to their wall. Nothing. 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 They're not doing it. They're not confronting even the most basic, little, simple things. I don't know. I can't like that video because if I like it, I'm going to get in trouble at work. Somebody's going to get mad at me. I got a trans niece, and I don't need her to think that So I'm not going to say anything. You got to fucking say something. You got to do something. What's that quote? Evil wins when good men do nothing? Good men are doing nothing. Actually, I think there's maybe a oxymoron in there, or whatever. There's no such thing as good men doing nothing. Because if you're good, you're going to do something. So, that quote is stupid. It's a stupid saying. It's a stupid saying because good people do something. If you're not doing something, you're not good. You're not on the right team. You're not on a good team if you're not doing anything. I promise you that. Okay? Pat yourself on the back for good things that you do. Yes, you're good to your grandkids. Yes, you're good to your children. Yes, blah, blah, blah. You're polite. You have nice shoes. You smell good. You wash your car. You're a good neighbor. But if you don't do anything when you see evil, and I don't care where you see it, if your decision is to look the other way or say it's somebody else's job to do it, or if you just deny that the evil thing is there and it's actually the FBI or M16 or Mossad or Bibi Netanyahu or Satan, the job's yours. If you don't do it, you're just kicking the can to somebody else. That's not good. Anyway, yeah, I feel this need to apologize about the tone of my last couple of videos because I'm hitting on the same notes the whole time, and I get it's becoming monotonous, but I just can't think of anything else. I just think if we don't keep, if this just fizzles out, and we return back to our hypnotized state of before, everything's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. No, it's fine. It was just a one-off. He's just one crazy guy, one lone gunman and his weird boyfriend. It wasn't a network. It wasn't the schools. It wasn't the media. It wasn't everything. We need to get these people that lie need to be held accountable. Okay? They need to be held accountable. You figure out what that looks like. I have my ideas of what it looks like. But they need to be held accountable for the lies. The lies against good. When you lie, when you say good is evil and evil is good, no. Just remember the banality of evil. It's boring. It's not exciting. Send some emails, make some phone calls, type some letters, make some appearances, go to a meeting, go to church, get into a Facebook fight with somebody who needs it. Yep, you can do it. When somebody says something that's wrong, you can say, that's wrong. You can say it. Even if you get flooded with comments. Racist, homophobe, bigot, transphobe, blah, 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 white nationalist, blah. When something's wrong, say it's wrong. Do the boring, good thing. Or maybe the good thing isn't boring. Maybe the good is the glorious thing. Do the glorious thing. How about that? Thanks for listening. unnecessary outro song to totally waste more